An 11-year-old kidnapped by the CIA to save the world, who might also be an anomaly from a deleted timeline, faces off against a villain who is also a six-eyed frilled lizard with split consciousness, all while receiving meta-commentary from an entity made of static and being bossed around by a 13-year-old super agent. This is the premise of William Joo-sung Kim's debut novel, The War of Time, a book that deliberately breaks every storytelling rule it can find. Malik, this isn't just an adventure story, is it? It's a journey into the author's mind, complete with a survival guide from the protagonist himself.
You're absolutely right, Chloe. From the very first pages, Kim sets expectations by telling the reader that none of his characters would pass a sanity test. They operate purely on instinct, driven by past traumas, chaotic impulses, and whatever forever chemical-loaded snacks they remember to pack. He even directly addresses the reader, warning that if you're hoping for personal growth, rational decision-making, or coming-of-age epiphanies, you are adorable. It immediately tells you this isn't a conventional narrative.
And it doesn't stop there. The author brings in the Intergalactic Police of Proxima Centauri b, or IPOP, who are supposedly impartial but become hot-headed and quite spiteful when it comes to their own conduct. He justifies that made-up word by saying, "There is no typo. You got a better word? Spiteful." This playful, self-aware tone is constant. He also credits AI as a high-quality collaboration for the illustrations, which adds another layer to the meta-commentary.
It really does. The copyright section itself is a masterclass in this meta-humor. He states that no part of the book may be copied, reproduced, mutilated, time-traveled, dimension-shifted, or accidentally launched into another timeline without written permission. And stealing the whole book is punishable by shaming or shunning, whichever is considered more painful to the perpetrator. He also mentions unauthorized reproduction may result in removal, platform bans, awkward emails, glares, and the author sighing dramatically. He's not just writing a story, he's constructing an entire universe of internal jokes and authorial presence, even in the legal disclaimers.
And the dedication page follows suit. It's dedicated to his brethren and sistren who suffer from unintended maturity, high IQ, or good looks, because, trust me, it's not your fault that you are gifted. I know. I've been suffering. It's a tongue-in-cheek nod to perceived intellectual superiority, setting a very distinct tone before the actual story even begins.
Exactly. The first chapter, I Get Kidnapped by a Man Who Might Be a Mannequin, plunges us straight into the action with 11-year-old Skylar Kim, who's building his Lego helicopter when he's recruited by a perfectly still, emotionless CIA agent named Collins. Skylar's sarcastic internal monologue, like the CIA did not knock on random doors in New York, quickly establishes his personality.
Then he meets Director Albert, the new head of the CIA, who shows him a picture of Dr. Voss, world's most dangerous man alive. Skylar's reaction to this supposedly fearsome villain, "Seriously? He looks like he loses fights with his own shoelaces," is classic. And the immediate assignment? Re-procure the president's scepter. He's literally told to retrieve it, and he's not even allowed to cross the street alone.
The recruitment of the actual super agents further solidifies the book's unique humor. Skylar meets Agent Titan, a heavy weapons specialist, Agent Circuit, the tech genius, Agent Shade, the master of stealth, and Agent Pearl, a 13-year-old trainee who immediately dismisses Skylar as a snot-nosed kid. The team dynamic is less polished heroes and more a collection of quirky individuals.
And it's Pearl who gives him the history lesson on the One Scepter during their flight to the Isle of Blackwater. She rattles off historical figures like Menace, Sargon, Hammurabi, and even George Washington, all of whom wielded this artifact across different timelines. Skylar's response, "Were the Akkadians able to keep the scepter for long?" is both innocent and perceptive, highlighting the scepter's transient nature.
The scepter's ability to do anything and its connection to multiple timelines is a key revelation. Pearl explains that right now there are a Googleplex timelines running parallel, born every time a decision is made. And then, the arrival at the Isle of Blackwater, where Skylar's first impulse is to question the name, only to be told, because the water is black. No legends, no curses, just literal truth, which is quite funny given the fantastical elements.
The island quickly lives up to its mysterious reputation. In Chapter 4, they hear a growl, and Skylar makes the rookie mistake of tapping a rubbery boulder, which turns out to be a giant six-eyed frilled lizard. His snacks, including chips, gummy worms, and seaweed, become collateral damage in the ensuing chase, a sacrifice he laments greatly.
The island continues to be a bizarre setting. They discover a valley with glowing blue mushrooms the size of umbrellas, spiral-shaped trees, floating rocks, and twitching vines. Circuit warns that the mushrooms emit low-level radiation, and Shade confirms the giant lizard has been there recently. It's a place where everything is slightly off-kilter, a fantastical yet dangerous ecosystem.
And it gets worse at night, which Pearl refers to as the island's creepy mode. The creature they encountered now has 6 voices at once, a layered, echoing bellow Skylar describes as 6 monsters harmonizing. The big reveal comes later that Dr. Voss, the supposed mild-mannered villain, has used the scepter to mutate himself into this 6-eyed frilled dragon. Skylar's quip, "Great, so the island is basically a giant make-your-own monster kit," perfectly captures the absurdity.
Dr. Voss's transformation is central. The team finds a tablet depicting a man drinking black water and progressively mutating into the 6-eyed creature. It's revealed he didn't just steal the scepter, he experimented with it, using its power to amplify the black water's mutagenic properties on himself. And in the cavern, the crystals, the red mist that smells like expired ketchup, and Voss's rapid, uncontrolled mutations continue the theme of chaos.
The book takes another meta turn when they find a mysterious metal box with a red "Do Not Press" button and a tiny label that says, "Seriously?" Of course, Skylar doesn't press it, but the machine activates anyway, projecting a hologram of Dr. Voss. He informs Skylar he's been expecting him, and that he's built something with the scepter, a modified, twisted version of it.
This is where Dr. Voss's true villainy, or rather his eccentric brilliance, is revealed. He makes a confession that he actually had no further plans for Phase 1 because "I'm a giant lizard. Do you know how hard it is to plan things when you have claws instead of fingers?" He admits to making up Phase 1 just to freak them out, then reveals he can jump between forms whenever I want, using his lizard body on autopilot like a Roomba.
The villain then powers up a machine that bends reality, allowing him to split his consciousness, be in 2 places at once, and rewrite time, space, identity, reality. Skylar, overwhelmed, screams, "I barely understand trigonometry," highlighting the sheer absurdity of the situation through the eyes of an 11-year-old.
The entire situation escalates dramatically with the holographic message. "The war approaches. Prepare yourself. Welcome to the war of time." This confirms that Dr. Voss's antics are just the beginning of a larger conflict. And then time itself starts pressing a self-destruct button as portals open, bringing dinosaurs, a woolly mammoth, Vikings, and Sherlock Holmes into the room.
Amidst this chaos, a new, even stranger entity appears, the Outliner. It's a tall, humanoid shape with no face, no features, just a shimmering outline. It speaks in a voice like static, sarcasm, and disappointment blended into one, and immediately fixates on Skylar, calling him an anomaly and comparing his haircut to something illegal.
The Outliner reveals that Skylar is lagging, desynchronized, and out of phase, eventually causing him to vanish and reappear, effectively buffering in real life. It explains that Skylar doesn't belong to this timeline and is from a deleted timeline that no longer exists, a revelation that leaves Skylar stunned. The Outliner also mentions that when Skylar copied a shockwave, he accidentally blew up the roam, earning the nickname The Mimic from a masked commander hunting him.
Skylar then accidentally copies a shockwave, blasting soldiers in armor forged from shattered mirrors and starlight. This marks the beginning of his superpower as a mimic, the ability to copy others' powers. The world then completely rips apart, with a multi-era incursion as countless portals open, bringing creatures and armies from all timelines.
The outliner confirms that Skylar triggered the breach, and his power woke the timelines. The masked commander from an unknown timeline appears, hunting Skylar as the Mimic. As the timelines collapse, the scepter falls from the sky, drawn to Skylar. He touches it, and it amplifies his mimic abilities, solidifying his role as the central figure in this war of time.
In the climactic battle, Skylar, now wielding the scepter, mimics powers from Titan, Circuit, a mage, a robot, and even a dragon. He takes on the commander. As the timelines continue to unravel, the outliner makes a profound sacrifice, dissolving itself into the vortex to return the timelines to their flow, telling Skylar, "You were never a mistake. You were the possibility."
The epilogue describes a world stitched back together, quiet but not empty. Skylar, now anchored by the scepter and accepting his identity as the Mimic, is left with a promise, a warning, and a beginning. The author, W.J. Kim, playfully signs off in the acknowledgments, thanking himself for writing the book and for pretending I knew what I was doing. He also includes a survival guide from Skylar, filled with humorous rules, like if it looks like a rock, it ain't a rock, and snacks are more valuable than gold, reinforcing the meta-narrative to the very end.
It's a really clever way to round out a completely unique reading experience. If you enjoyed hearing about the wild twists and turns of the War of Time, share this episode with someone who loves a good, unconventional adventure.